Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you are all doing well. So, I wanted to share my thoughts about a comment that Martell made in the last episode of Love Marriage Huntsville. And in this episode, Martell got into an argument with Marceau and Tisha about some of the goings on that went on between them. Martell implied that he and Marceau and even Maurice would share women. They would run trains on women together. I'm not surprised about this statement. I'm not saying that it's true or false, but Martell, Maurice, and Marceau are all a part of a fraternity. And fraternities are notorious for having frat parties where women are used as sexual objects. Sometimes they run trains through women who are in sororities. This is a well-known fact. It's not discussed a lot, but I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Martell and Maurice and Marceau shared the same women at some point in their lives. So during this conversation, Martell tells Marceau that any man would be happy to have a wife like Tisha. And Martell's been saying this since season 1. He said in season 1 that he wishes Melody was more like Tisha. Not in terms of looks, not in terms of personality per se, not in terms of business acumen, and not in terms of their mothering abilities, but the fact that Tisha knows that Marceau is cheating and she's willing to look the other way to protect his image and thus her image as a wife. In season 3 of Love and Marriage Huntsville, all of the cast members go to Las Vegas together. This is the first time they hang out after Martell and Melody's divorce was finalized, right? And at the end of this trip, they're all eating dinner together at a table, and Marceau says to Martell that his problem was he was comparing himself to other men. That is where he failed in his marriage. And back then, I knew he was talking about the fact that Martell believed that since he's more attractive than Marceau and Maurice and they're cheating on their wives, right, he should be able to do the same thing. And that was partially the reason why he was so furious with Melody, because Melody was not playing the game like Tisha and Kimmy. What Martell did not realize is that Tisha was dependent on Marceau. Tisha needed Marceau to take care of her and the children. In seasons 1, 2, and 3, there was this big discussion or argument between them about her working outside the home, being a stay-at-home mother, and Marceau did not want her outside of the house. So she was pretty much closed off, siloed, isolated while he was doing what he wanted to do with other women all around Huntsville or Tennessee or Las Vegas or Atlanta. At some point, Marceau told Tisha that he did not want her working outside the home because he did not want to end up like the Holts. He knew that if Tisha was financially dependent on him and isolated, because in the beginning, Melody and Tisha were really close because Melody was kind of like mentoring Tisha on how to be an independent, self-sufficient wife. Tisha would confide to Melody about some of the things that was going on in her relationship that she wasn't happy about. And Melody was trying to kind of get Tisha out of the house and independent. So what Martell did not understand or realize or take into consideration was the fact that unlike Melody and even Kimmy, Tisha was financially dependent on Marceau. She needed him to take care of her and their children. Melody was running their companies. Melody was the boss in that situation, literally and figuratively. Melody was the one with the business licenses. Melody was the one receiving awards for her entrepreneurship. Melody was the one with the work ethic to take him to the next level. Martell did not have this. So Martell needed Melody more than she needed him. And most women who are in charge of their relationship, as far as financially, as far as managing the business side of their relationship and managing the relationship in the household, because Martell wasn't cooking, he wasn't cleaning for the kids, Melody was still doing a lot of the household chores and responsibilities as well as bringing money into the house. So what Martell did not consider was the fact that Melody was less willing to put up with his infidelity because she didn't really need him like that. She was contributing just as much as, if not more than he was, to their relationship. If you guys remember the podcast that Martell did with Ariana a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about when they went to Las Vegas and Marceau brought one of the side pieces with him, and he encouraged. Martell felt proud about the fact that he encouraged Marceau to take care of the side piece. You brought her out here, take care of her. he did not consider the fact that Marceau may have felt like it was disrespectful to take money out of their household to pay a mistress or a side piece. Martel had no problem tricking off Melody's money on Ariane. At some point during their confrontation, Martel says something to the effect, the only reason why Tisha is still defending Marceau so hard is because there's no clear evidence of his infidelity. She's only sticking around because she has not suffered or endured the embarrassment of everybody knowing that her husband's a cheater. And he feels like the only reason why Melody left was because everybody found out that he was doing her dirty. That's not the only reason why Melody left. Melody left because she could leave. She had the money to leave. She had the confidence to leave. Not just the money, because during that time period of COVID, everything shut down. She had the skill set, the experience, and the work ethic to rebuild her life. She knew this for a fact. She knew that if it weren't for her, for the most part, they would not be as successful as they were during their marriage. So Melody had more confidence than Tisha in her ability to rebuild her life and have a better life without Martel than with him. That was the main reason why she left. Martel still does not understand that the main reason why Melody left everything that she built with him, their businesses, the relationship, the nuclear family unit, the status, all that stuff, the reason why she left all of that behind was because he was tormenting her with his mental illness and his verbal abuse and his emotional abuse and his financial abuse. Martel treated Melody worse than he treated Ariane to an extent. I'm pretty sure Marceau does not have various women or even one woman calling his wife at home. Marceau would not tolerate that. So even though he was disrespecting Tisha outside of their relationship, at least he had enough sense not to allow a woman who hates his wife to disrespect his wife and his home and his family. Martel let Ariane disrespect the F out of his wife. That was a part of the issue, on top of the multiple pregnancies. I don't know if Marceau got his mistress pregnant or whatever. I'm not sure of it. We do know that in season 2, he and Maurice get a vasectomy the same time. So more than likely, they were scared straight by Martel's situation, and they wanted to make sure they didn't slip up and get someone pregnant accidentally, because that's the end, right? Once there's evidence of the infidelity for most women, and it's a walking, talking human baby, it's over for the most part, right? So Martel was already disrespecting Melody before Ariane got pregnant for the 3rd time. He was disrespecting her before they even got married. Melody said that they barely celebrated their 1st-year anniversary because of Martel's mouth and his attitude. He's emotionally and verbally abusive to her. So Martel saying, yeah, every man wants a woman like Tisha, and Tisha's only there because nobody knows about Marceau's dirt. Well, again, Tisha's also financially and emotionally dependent on Marceau. And Tisha feels like she's in competition with other women who want the lifestyle that she has, or who wants a husband. She kept calling Marceau her protector, which was ironic because the only reason why she was catching strays from Martel since season 1 is because of what Marceau was doing. Even though Marceau was more discreet than Martel, he was still stepping outside of his marriage. In season 1, Melody said Martel's behavior changed once he started hanging out with the Scott brothers. He became more brazen, more disrespectful, and even more resentful towards her. Because again, if these two regular looking guys who don't have a wife like Melody and a lifestyle like mine, if these men can cheat, I should be able to cheat too. I look better than them. Melody is more successful than Tisha and Kimmy. Now, Kimmy settled for Maurice because at this point in her life, she was in her late 40s and she wanted her happily ever after. She had enough experience in the game to know that most men cheat, and she was willing to look the other way for the sake of having a husband. So she knows what Marceau and Maurice are doing together. It is what it is. As a matter of fact, she said that Maurice is more like Marceau than people realize. Maurice is what I would consider a sniper. He's a very sneaky person. So people think that he's innocent and he's, the voice of reason, and he's no. Maurice is out here slinging penis too. But again, Kimmy's now in her 50s and she feels like this is her last chance to find her knight in shining armor and to be rescued from the misery of being a single woman in the United States. Okay, so Tisha says that Marceau is her protector. What's interesting is that Tisha is protecting Marceau more than he protected her. And she's protecting him for the sake of preserving her self-image, her integrity, her children, and her status as a wife. For women like Tisha, being a wife is more important than being respected. Tisha is more than honored to take on the responsibility of protecting her husband's image and his reputation and his integrity, while he gets to do whatever he wants with whoever he wants. He gets to be reckless and irresponsible and live his life, right? And have the freedom to go to Africa by himself, go to Las Vegas by himself, to live an independent bachelor life, while Tisha is tasked with the responsibility of making sure that nobody else knows what he's doing in front of her face, behind her back, so that he can still look like a good, upstanding husband and father and pillar of the community. Now, as I said before, that is Tisha's prerogative. It is her prerogative to stick by a man who has her out here catching strays from his homies, who is cheating with her husband. Not with him literally, but yeah, they're sharing the same women. They're going to Las Vegas together. They're going to Tennessee together. Like Marceau and Maurice and Martel were living their best single lives out in the streets of Huntsville and Tennessee and Atlanta and Las Vegas, while their dutiful wives were at home taking care of the babies and the bills and the responsibilities of being a wife and a mother. They get to have their second childhood or live like bachelors, while the women not only have to ignore their indiscretions, but they have to protect these men. If Tisha's confronted or Melody's confronted or Kimmy's confronted about their husband's indiscretions, it is the woman's responsibility to say, that's not true. I don't have any evidence of that. Get away from me with this. You're lying on him. It is their responsibility to not only look the other way, but to protect their husband's image for the sake of their own image, right? Their own ego, because they don't want to be out here looking stupid and crazy. Here is the irony about these wives in general needing to protect their husband's status and reputation from accusations of infidelity, right? They don't want to look stupid, as if the world doesn't know how men get down, like as if the world doesn't know that men cheat all the time. Why would the wives look stupid for their husbands cheating on them? In the beginning, people were saying that Melody was stupid for staying with Martel. And it wasn't just about the infidelity. It was about the fact that, again, he allowed his mistress to disrespect his wife and his home and his family. But that's a small part of it. And that brings me to another point that I want to make about women being blamed for the things that men do. Men do not respect women, especially in the Black community. Men don't respect women who stay loyal to dirtbags or abusers or cheaters. Men have less sympathy for abusive, deadbeat men than women do. And that's why they call women stupid for staying in abusive, dysfunctional, lopsided relationships. Most men blame women for sticking around or believing a man's lies or believing that he's sorry about what he's done, right? As I mentioned before a couple of years ago, a lot of these struggle love relationships require a pound of flesh from Black women, meaning that many Black men test Black women by way of abuse, disrespect, cheating, abandonment. They train women to put up with abuse. If you love me, then you'll suffer for me. A lot of Black men have this mentality because of their mommy issues and daddy issues. But yeah, if you love me, then you will suffer for me. In order for me to consider you my wife or my girlfriend, or in order for you to gain some sort of protection by way of my validation and social acknowledgement, you have to prove that you're willing to suffer for me and suffer with me. The ride or die chick, right? The build-a-bear females, right? You have to be down in trenches with me. And even though I can't promise that I'll be loyal to you, I need you to suffer to prove that you'll be loyal to me. So just like Melody and Martel, Melody went through the trenches with Martel. They both had nothing when they got married. And Martel abused her. Melody built with him. She built for him. They built together. So Melody proved that she was loyal to Martel. And how did he reward her loyalty? He rewarded her loyalty by essentially throwing his mistress in her face and weaponizing Melody's growing disillusionment and dissatisfaction about their marriage in her face. So Arion's not like this. Arion treats me better. Melody at some point began to pull away from Martell sexually, mentally, and emotionally. And that pretty much created a void for Arion to fill. And the only reason why Melody pulled away mentally, emotionally, and sexually was because Martell kept abusing her. He basically rewarded her loyalty with more abuse, just like with Marceau and Tisha. Tisha's loyalty to Marceau is being rewarded by Martell calling her a bust down, basically, before she got married to Marceau. Now she's out here catching strays, right? Because Martell is jealous and bitter about the fact that he was the only one who lost everything while doing the same thing that Marceau and Maurice were doing. He feels like it's unfair. It's not unfair because, again, Melody was the one taking care of Martell in the situation. Melody was the breadwinner primarily. She was the one with the builder's license. She was the one who pretty much elevated the status of their family and their companies by way of her reputation, by way of her work ethic. Just like Martell couldn't differentiate between Arion and Melody, right? He couldn't distinguish Melody's oranges from Arion's oranges. Martell didn't know the difference between Melody and Tisha, why Melody would not put up with the same crap Tisha would. And it's not because Tisha's a better woman per se. It's because Melody does not need Martell. How the fuck do I look staying loyal to a man that I'm essentially taking care of while he's out here allowing his mistress to disrespect me? That makes no sense. That's not logical. But Martell objectifies women. Women don't really have any value to him outside of sexual gratification and an ego boost. That is all. For him, women don't really have their own identity, right? Outside of the box that he puts them in, which is servicing my needs, making me look good, being a trophy, being my emotional punching bag, all this other crap. You guys have heard many men say that women need to choose better. Women need to stop falling for the lies of men. These same men are angry that Black women are ignoring them. No more smiles, no more acknowledgement, no more easy sex. These days, because of social media and because, of the economy and because a lot of women are more self-sufficient and they're more independent than their mothers and grandmothers, these days, a lot of men have to work harder for sexual access to Black women, which is why they got their passports. And instead of these men being better human beings, they're like, well, there's nothing wrong with me. There's something wrong with you. Men rarely, if ever, think they need to change. They always blame somebody else for their behavior, for their reactions, for their disrespect. It is always the woman's fault. It's the woman's fault that she got pregnant. It's the woman's fault that she believes their lies and narcissism. It's the woman's fault that she is stuck in an abusive relationship. It's the woman's fault for getting killed by Ray Ray and Pookie. It's always her fault. It's always her responsibility to be the better person. But these are supposed to be the leaders of the Black community. Martell said he was the head of the household. He was father of the year. He had all this honor and integrity, yet he did not have enough integrity to be a role model or an example for Marceau and Maurice. If he saw them cheating on their wives, he should have checked them and called it out. Like, yo, this ain't right. I don't like what we're doing here. I'm not trying to hang out with y'all if this is what you're doing. I think Courtney, Stormy's husband, would have said something like that. And I think Louis, Tiffany's husband, would have also said the same thing. I could be wrong, but I think they would have checked Marceau and Maurice for disrespecting Kimmy and Tisha the way that they were. But instead of being a leader, Martell follows the crowd. He does whatever Martell and Marceau is doing, not just because he wants to, but because he feels entitled to do this. At the time, Martell was the most successful out of all those guys, and he's the most attractive, according to most people. So he thought he should be able to do exactly what they were doing. The thing is, again, Martell took it too far. He took it too far. He allowed his girlfriend to call his wife's phone while his children are in bed. She's having arguments with his mistress on the phone. Martell's spending thousands of dollars of his wife's money on this lady. So it wasn't just about the infidelity. It was about everything that came along with it. You're treating the side piece like your actual girlfriend. Now your wife has to compete with this other woman, and she's not bringing anything to the table besides her vagina, her alligator mouth, and her hatred of Melody. That's all she's bringing to the table. Nothing else. Speaking of Arion, so a couple of weeks ago, Sunny posted a video talking about the fact that I think 2 seasons ago, Arion crashed the set of the show during production. and she was supposed to be confronting Marceau, whatever. And then Marceau produced receipts of Ariane being ran through by some of his homies. Apparently, Huntsville is very, very small. I wonder if there's a connection between Marceau having a video of Ariane getting ran through and then Martell trying to release the revenge porn on Melody. Is there a connection? Because if Marceau has video of Ariane getting ran through and it's being passed around like Pokemon cards, which is not uncommon. I posted a video about this a couple of years ago about men sharing sex videos of their girlfriends on Telegram and sharing their name, address, and other personal information with these men who want to have sex with these women. So these men will use technology in the most disgusting ways. It's always about conquering and devouring and violating women sexually. That is all they use technology for. That's the most important thing for them. Porn and OnlyFans and Backpage, like that is it. So anyway, I wonder if there's a connection with the fact that Marceau had video of Ariane, allegedly, according to Sonny, being ran through, and then Martell got into an argument or fight with Marceau to the point where production had to stop, right? I wonder if he decided to release the revenge porn on Melody to kind of make Ariane look not as bad or to put them on the same level, because Martell has been obsessed since their divorce, or even while they were married, with making Melody look as bad as Ariane. Well, she cheated too. Well, she's not a good, like, it's like he doesn't want people to see Ariane as a downgrade. So if you guys remember in like season 3 during the reunion, Melody said she graduated from a college, and then Martell said Ariane went to the same school. Like, he kept trying to put them on the same level so that people won't see her as a downgrade. I wonder if Martell decided to release that revenge porn situation after he saw Maurice's tape of Ariane being ran through. I wonder if that's the case. I don't know. Over the years, I stated that Martell knows something about Ariane that we don't know, and we don't really care to know, that is preventing him at this point from committing to her. There's something about her that he does not like, or that he considers low class or bad for his image. If there are rumors about her being a bust down for these frat bros, to the point where Marceau has video of her on his phone, then that's an issue. I'm sure it'll be an issue for him. There are no random videos of Melody being circulated by anybody but Martell. So a lot of men don't like the idea of their woman being like had by other men, especially if there's evidence of it. I don't know if that's the reason why he hasn't committed to her yet, but Marceau had evidence apparently of Ariane being ran through, and it caused a huge ruckus on the set of the show, and they had to redo the scene. How do you guys feel about that? Do you guys think that Martell started the revenge porn plot because of what he saw on Marceau's phone? I don't know. Just me speculating. I don't know the timeline exactly. But yeah, it would make sense that Martell would be like, well, if she has stuff out here on her, I'm going to do it to Melody to make Ariane look better so that people won't think that I downgraded with Ariane, because Martell's all about public image and his reputation and status. He loves the sexual intercourse between him and Ariane. He is addicted to that. I'm going to say this too. So a few years ago, right? Before Martell blocked me from his Instagram, and I didn't even know he blocked me because I wasn't really on his page like that. But somebody in the comments said that Martell was lame because he fell in love with a woman because she sucked his dick. That was the reason why he fell in love with her. I was dying. Like, I was laughing my ass off for at least a couple of days afterwards. I kept replaying it in my head. She said, you were lame. You fell in love with her because she sucked your dick. It was just funny to me. But yeah, Martell seems to be very sex-driven, hypersexual even, and a chauvinist and an asshole. For him to say to Marceau, every man wants a woman like Tisha, that was not a compliment. But for Tisha, that may have been a compliment. Like, I'm a good wife. I'm the kind of woman that a man wants to protect and take care of. No, Tisha, you're the kind of woman that a man can get over on. He can live a single life out in the streets with the thoughts and the other females out here, right? He can live a single life in the streets while you're at home, drinking yourself into, numbness, taking care of the babies by yourself, and being completely dependent on him. And you have to protect him. You have to protect him more than he's protecting you. Marceau said more than once, if Tisha cheated on him, he would leave. Now, I'm not sure if that's 100% true, because as the years go along, a lot of men will give their wives a pass. I know of several men who have given their wives a pass to cheat, especially after they've done their dirt. So I don't know if Marceau is telling the truth or he's just talking shit, or he's, threatening Tisha, like, if you do this to me, I'm going to leave you. Unfortunately, Tisha knows that as a Black woman in the Black community, it'll be much more difficult for her to find a suitable partner than it would be for Marceau. There are plenty of quote-unquote good women, especially in the South, who would be happy to be a second wife to a blatant womanizer. I mean, look at Ariane. She wants to marry a man who cheated for half of his marriage. Even though it was with her, it doesn't make a difference. She still wants commitment from him. And she thinks that, she's different from the other females out here, to the point where she's questioning what he's doing out of town when he's not with her, as if that's really her man. He's never even claimed her in public. I'm not saying that he doesn't claim her in private, whatever the case may be. But again, he alluded to the fact that he knows that she's not good for him for whatever reason. He may know things about her, again, that we don't know. So yeah, back to Tisha. She may have seen Martel's comment as a backhanded compliment. You're a good wife. You're a dutiful mother. And this man gets to have fun and live his life and have a hot boy summer every fucking year while you're at home, taking care of the babies by yourself, being neglected, feeling bad about yourself, not good enough, being gaslit. I remember Marceau was like, yeah, I'm depressed. I'm not happy. There's nothing you can do about it. And Tisha is blaming herself, because that is what most men want women to do, to blame themselves for what their man is doing. So the reason why I'm unhappy is because I'm in an unhappy marriage. My wife isn't satisfying me. And then Tisha's like, what can I do to make things better? Even though I allow you to cheat, I allow you to disrespect me with other women, I give you all the freedom you want, and I'm still protecting your image and your reputation for the sake of our relationship and our children. What else do you want from me? What else can I do to satisfy you, to make you happy? These are the type of women that men prefer to marry. Women who internalize and who take ownership of the man's abuse. They blame themselves for their man being unhappy. Some women are not oriented that way. Melody is not oriented that way. If you're unhappy and I'm a good wife and a good mother and I'm your business partner and doing everything for you and with you that you said you wanted, and you're still unhappy, that is a personal problem. There's nothing I can do to fix your personal problem. As a matter of fact, let me exit stage left on this marriage, because your personal problem is fucking up my quality of life. I'm not happy around you because you're not happy with yourself. Not, oh my God, what more can I do to make you happy? What's wrong with me? Do you want me to get a BBL? Do you want me to change my body? Do you want me to be more quiet or less combative? What more do you want from me? Do you need more freedom? Am I the problem? Meanwhile, this man does whatever he wants to do, and you're still blaming yourself for his unhappiness. This is why I don't really respect Tisha's position on her marriage. It's not just the fact that she's protecting, her children from living in a broken situation. I understand that part, but she's completely lost herself in this relationship. And again, she is now making it her responsibility and her duty to fight for this man, to protect this man's image, while she knows for a fact that he was cheating on her. And this is one of the reasons why she and Melody initially had a falling out, because Melody knew that Tisha was not really girl code. And it's understandable. You're supposed to be more loyal to your husband than you are to your friend. But to have your friend out here looking crazy by herself as if her husband's the only one cheating and she's being unreasonable for having an issue with it, saying that Martel's a good guy, all this other mess, and you know what he was doing behind her back. That is why Melody and Tisha had a falling out initially. I understand at this point. It is hard for women who are secure within themselves to be friends with women who are not secure within themselves, because a lot of insecure women are in competition with other women, and a lot of insecure women will throw their friends by the wayside for a raggedy, garbage-ass man. I'm not saying a good man of excellent caliber. It is what it is. When he's a good man, I get it, right? You want protection, you want resources, you want whatever. But a lot of these women will throw their friends in a dumpster for an ain't shit man, then look to their friends that they've abandoned to help them pick up the pieces of their lives after their boyfriend, who they discarded them for, destroys them. This happens all the time. Now let's discuss Kimmy really quickly. Kimmy is doing what I expect her to do. Kimmy's in her 50s now. Again, she thinks that Maurice is her last chance at finding a good quote unquote man with a job and, you know, not a bunch of kids at this point in her life, right? He's her last chance. So she's going to hold on to him. I am concerned, honestly, about what would happen after Maurice Jr. graduates college and he no longer needs his father for financial or emotional support. I'm concerned that Maurice will begin to show his whole ass once he doesn't need Kimmy as a stepmother for his child anymore. That's what I'm worried about. I was always worried about that, but after this whole DUI situation and stories coming out about him doing whatever with Mar-So, and the fact that he got married to Kimmy only because he was getting custody of his son, he strung her along for 7 years until it was time to get custody. I have an issue. I'm really concerned for Kimmy. Not because I want her to be miserable and on edge, no. But because I know a shyster or a user when I see one. The fact that he didn't know that Kimmy was a good woman until it was time for him to get custody of Maurice Jr. and it was time for Jalen to graduate college is an issue for me. So Kimmy was not good enough to marry as a single mother to a minor child. I think Jalen was like maybe 12, 13, 14 when Kimmy and Maurice met. But Kimmy is good enough to marry now that it's time for you to get custody of your only child. And then we find out Melody's cooking and cleaning and doing all the mothering duties for his son while she's in chemotherapy. And this man got a vasectomy when his wife was 50 plus years old. I'm going to say this again. Most men don't respect dumb, loyal women. A woman is dumb if she's loyal to a man who is obviously disrespecting her. Being loyal to a loyal man is not a dumb thing. Being loyal to a cheater, an abuser, a womanizer, whatever, is a dumb thing. These men think you're dumb, and that's why they blame you for staying in these lopsided, unfair, dysfunctional relationships. Martell had the nerve to call Tisha slow. He thinks Tisha's a dumb woman, just like he thinks Arion's a dumb woman. That's why he's still with her. A lot of men require women to be stupid in order to stick around them. A smart woman is going to peep game and say, I can do better than this. I can do better by myself. I'd rather be alone than to deal with this level of disrespect. I don't care how cute you are. I don't care how nice your body is. I don't care how good we look together or how good you make me feel when you're acting right. I don't have to put up with this on a daily basis for the rest of my life. I can do better than this. Men hate women with that mentality or that disposition. They want a woman to think that her happiness and validation only comes from a man. However, they don't want you to be dependent on him to the point where you're intercepting or interfering in his extracurricular activities. So I want you to need me for validation, but not to the point where you have an issue with me cheating on you. I don't want you to be that clingy. I want you to be clingy enough to allow me to do my dirt without you changing your behavior towards me, without you denying me sexual access. I want you to love me enough to put up with my shit, but not too much so that you'll get too hurt by what I'm doing on the side. Like, they want to hurt your feelings by way of cheating on you and disrespecting you to prove to them that you love them, but they don't want you to hurt to the point where you want to get away from them. I want you to hurt this much, not this much. They want to control the magnitude of the pain they're inflicting on you, right? They want to control the magnitude or the amount of disrespect you'll tolerate. They want you to tolerate this much disrespect. They want you to get mad at them enough that you want to fight them or fight for them, but not so mad that you're going to leave them for somebody else. You see the mental gymnastics that women have to go through to make these men happy or to keep them happy. This is why I'm not saying that I am against relationships. Relationships that are healthy are wonderful. Healthy, fair, balanced. You can build together, learn from each other. That's a wonderful thing. But these struggle, love, mental illness, narcissistic, mommy abandonment issue relationships are not the business. They don't go anywhere. A lot of men have stated that they want you to know or to believe that they can do better than you to force you to behave and act right, i.e. put up with their disrespect and abuse in the so-called struggle Olympics. They know what they're doing. They know how to psychologically manipulate women. And women, a lot of women want to be psychologically manipulated because at least they're being seen and acknowledged and validated by the man's attention. All these women want our attention from these men. For women like Tisha, a man's attention is a form of protection. What is Marceau protecting Tisha from? The idea of being a single mother? What is she protected from? She's doing all the work in the house, ignoring his indiscretions. How is she being protected? It's only because of status. Oh, she's not a baby mother. She's not a single mother. She was good enough to be a wife. That makes her a good woman and a good human being. So the men have written the rules that women are enforcing and perpetrating. He's my protector. How is he protecting you if you're out here defending yourself and defending him for what he's doing? You're not out here getting ran through by multiple men. And I will say this. Tisha is correct about Marceau protecting her to an extent because she knows that and he knows that in the realm of dating in the Black community or in the world in general, especially in the West, if you're out here as a single mother or a single woman, period, you are food for the wolves. They know that a man's nature is to devour and destroy. If you're not protected by the sanctity of marriage, then more than likely, these men see you as food for the streets, period. This is a cultural thing. So essentially, Tisha needs Marceau to protect her from men just like him. She needs to be protected from the big bad wolves, but she's in the house with a big bad wolf. But the big bad wolf in her house, I guess, hasn't ripped her head off yet. So Tisha doesn't want to get divorced because she doesn't want to date men who treat women the way her husband treats his mistresses. That's essentially the bottom line. Listen, I'm all for the nuclear family structure, right? Even though I don't think men and women should live in the same houses. I've always said this. I don't believe in that. Mars and Venus don't belong in the same house. Mars belongs outside the house, protecting the periphery. If it's in the home, it's going to destroy the home. Anyway, that's a different conversation. But yeah, I don't have anything against the sanctity of a marriage. I think marriage is important, or, having productive, cooperative, supportive, nurturing, stable relationships are important for our children in our community. But we haven't had a culture that supports healthy marriages for decades. Like most of us in our communities who knew our grandparents, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, we have stories of them being abused and disrespected and violated by the men in the community. Like women being abandoned and beaten up and violated by their husbands did not start in the 1960s and 70s. A lot of men are just awful people because they've been socialized to be that way. And it's a part of their nature. The late comedian Patrice O'Neal stated before he died that if women knew how sexually vile a man's imagination was, they would never essentially want to be around them. Like, we'd be horrified how depraved the man's mind is. And I want to make a final point about this as well. There was a conversation about men dating older women, women being over the hill, too old, or whatever the case may be, right? I'm going to say this. There are men who have sex with animals, who have sex with prostitutes, who have sex with children, unfortunately, with holes in the wall. Like, they'll put their meat in anything. And they want you to believe that a woman who's 55 years old, who looks like Nicole Murphy or a Halle Berry, is old and disgusting. Y'all want me to believe that the gender who sexualizes everything, men in general, they'll have sex with AI robots, they'll have sex with, toys and dolls. They'll see an older woman who's, kept herself together as disgusting. You cannot listen to what these men say. Most of them are stupid and mentally ill. And their mental illness is triggered when they see that they have no control over you, that they cannot manipulate you, that you're smarter than them. You can see beyond their games and their tricks and their little gaslighting. They'd rather you be dumb like Arion asking a married man what he's doing on a trip with his homies when he's not with you. That's none of your business. Why are you even asking what he's doing? You should know for a fact that he's out here in these streets with other females, just like he was with you. These men need you to believe everything that they tell you so that you can feel like crap about yourself and they can continue to control you. And then they can throw you away once their narcissism has sucked the life out of you. As I've stated before, one of the reasons why Martell has not gotten over Melody yet is because, he didn't destroy her. He didn't turn her into an overweight, bitter, sickly, miserable, unhappy, cynical person. He didn't do that. He tried, but she's still attractive. Speaking of which, do you guys think that Melody would be messy or petty if she went out on a date with Marquez, who's Trisha's ex-husband, especially since Trisha allegedly had sex with Martell while he was separated from Melody? Would it be messy for Melody to do that? I wouldn't want Melody to take him serious. I think he has issues. But for the sake of the show, would it be weird or funny for her to do that? Marquez is not a bad-looking guy. I would want her to do it to just get under Martell's skin because, Martell deserves it. At the same time, would that be breaking girl code considering Trisha's not her friend? They're still legally married. What's going on with that? What do you guys think she should do? I think for the sake of the show itself, the production value, that would be a cool scene. I don't think in real life they should ever date, but it's like a soap opera at this point, the show. I still don't think Ariana should be on the show because she has hatred for Melody for no reason. Melody doesn't hate Trisha and Marquez doesn't hate Martell. So it would just be fun. It wouldn't be vindictive or vicious, right? Melody's single. Marquez is David is single. Ken is pretty much living in the house. She's moved on. So who's getting hurt here? I wouldn't want Melody to take Marquez seriously at all. And what's with all these Mars on the show? Martell, Maurice, Marceau, Marquez, they're all bald and their names start with Mar. It's weird and silly. Ken, initially I thought Ken was okay. But the way he's pushing this divorce situation, the way he's acting towards Marquez, I'm getting red flags. I don't know what it is. I think he's too pushy or because Trisha does not stick up for herself. She has a hard time communicating a lot of times, and men see a woman like that as someone they can easily manipulate. I'm not saying Ken's a bad guy. It's weird. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I look forward to reading your feedback. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon.